I am Dr. D.D. Sawant from Department of Geography, J.A.T Arts, Science and Commerce College for Women, Malegaon District, Nashik. Today's topic which I had taken is that the phosphorus cycle. So this phosphorus is having the importance, and hence the phosphorus mainly in the form of the ions is an essential and important nutrient of both animals and plants. Hence, the phosphorus is the second most important, water being the most important substance in the biosphere, which is most essential for the growth of organisms because it limits production in the biospheric ecosystem. So, the phosphorus is in short supply as it is found in phosphate rocks, which are restricted to very limited areas over the globe. Phosphorus is such a chemical element, it means the minerals, which has a very limited gaseous phase and has major sedimentary phase in the biogeochemical cycle. Phosphorus is temporarily present in the atmosphere in very small quantity in the form of dust and salt, which are carried as salt spray from the seas or blown as dust from the areas of phosphate deposits and active mines. What is the phosphorus cycle? The phosphorus cycle occurs in many different ways. It can be seen from a soil based view, an ecosystem like a view, and in a global view. So, the very interesting feature of the phosphorus cycle is that it is gradual, very slow, and one way as phosphorus tends to move from the lands to the oceans through surface runoff via rivers, and very little amount of phosphorus is retained from the oceans to the lands. Most of phosphorus is stored in the sedimentary rocks in the form of phosphate rocks. When these rocks are weathered, phosphorus is transferred to the soil storage pool. It is significant to point out that phosphorus exists in the soil in the form of minerals combined with calcium, potassium, magnesium, iron, and as phosphate. Not all phosphorus present in the soils and rocks takes place in the cycle. Rather, only 10% is involved in the cyclic pathway because phosphorus is relatively insoluble in water. So, from this diagram, we get the idea that plants take up phosphorus in the form of inorganic phosphate from the soils through their roots under the process of root osmosis. The inorganic phosphates are converted into organic forms in the plants, which means the organic form of phosphate are circulated in the food chain through different trophic levels, means the from plants to herbivorous animals, and then from herbivorous to carnivorous and omnivorous animals. Phosphate is written back in the soils when dead organisms, means the plants and animals, and their excreted wastes are decomposed by soil organisms. The return of phosphorus from the oceans to the land is not regular feature, rather it is exceedingly slow and occasional features. So phosphorus brought to the littoral areas of the seas and the oceans is returned back to the lands through salt spray fish, which can be eaten by when eaten by terrestrial animals, mainly by man and birds. But major portion of phosphorus drained to the seas and oceans is moved in the means the decomposer organisms and microbes, and hence through mineralization of organic form of phosphate, that is conversion of organic form of phosphate to inorganic form. Some portion is leached and washed out in the oceans, while some portion of phosphate are maintained as organic compounds. For example, bones, which store and preserve phosphatic materials for a long period. These are retained to the soils when these are again converted into mineral forms, but this process is completed after a long period of time. It is also important to state that a sizable portion of phosphate absorbed by the plants remain in inorganic forms in the plants, and therefore this inorganic form of phosphate is mineralized after decomposition of plants in a relatively short period of time. So it is a in the phase mining of rocks which is rich in phosphorus, and mining rocks rich in phosphate are mainly used for agricultural. They are essential ingredient in fertilizers. Without it our plants would not grow. So it is estimated that amount of 20,000 million metric tons of phosphorus is stored in the rocks of earth crust, but only 10,000 to 60,000 million metric tons are minerable by conventional techniques. So while ocean deposits accounts for 100 million metric tons of phosphorus, since there is gradual removal of phosphorus from the lands to the oceans to the lands, the amount of terrestrial phosphorus is gradually decreasing, whereas the demand of phosphorus by plants is increasing. Since phosphorus is the most critical element for the plants, and hence the additional phosphorus in the form of industrial fertilizers is added to the soil by man. Hence the third phase, it gives us the fertilizers contain both nitrogen and phosphates, both of which are essential for living cells, and the phosphate is essential for DNA and RNA. Thank you very much.